It is finally happening for Bitcoin and we are pumping above the $87,000 in the beginning of this week. I will have a look at the Bitcoin CME gap and a lot of other interesting charts for Bitcoin because we are seeing incredible price action. There is a lot of interesting news coming into the market which I will show you, and a lot of companies are buying Bitcoin. Later in the video I will also have a look at the two altcoins Chainlink and Pepecoin. So you want to watch this video all the way to the end to don't miss anything. So please slap up that like button because it will help this channel a lot. And you can also follow me on my free Telegram group and also on my Twitter where I post a lot of crypto updates daily. And with that being said, now let's dive right into the charts. So as I discussed on my video of Saturday, we saw that Bitcoin opened the CME gap around the $84,849 around this level. And this was all on Thursday evening because on the Friday we didn't see the markets were open. So Wall Street was closed on Friday because of the Easter weekend. And now we can see that Bitcoin followed this CME gap and it respected this CME gap perfectly. And at the end of this weekend, we came back to this CME gap and closed this perfectly. So this is exactly what we want to see because we don't want to leave any gaps open. And in the beginning of this morning, we saw a big, beautiful pump towards the $87,000, and we also hit the $87,700. So this was exactly what we were waiting for, and this is a perfect start of the week, of course. So yeah, this could mean that a lot of companies are buying Bitcoin right now because we are seeing this huge pump happening. And also on my video of Saturday, I discussed this formation for Bitcoin. We saw this price squeeze for Bitcoin, and we also saw this huge horizontal resistance on the top side and horizontal support on the lower side. And the price of Bitcoin was getting squeezed into its apex. We saw a breakout. We retested this previous resistance area as support. So you can see that we are making this perfect bullish retest. And at this bullish retest, you could have entered the market in the long, just like I am always stating, that you always have to aim for this bullish retest. So the previous resistance has been retested as support, and from this level you could have been an interesting trade, especially when you're leverage trading, and we saw a rise of more than 4%, of course. And this could have been your first take profit at this resistance area on the top side. So you could have made an interesting trade of more than 2% for Bitcoin. And we can also see that this huge horizontal resistance is now being broken to the top side, and this looks beautiful. So if you still want to trade Bitcoin, you can wait for a bullish retest. So you can wait for a retest of this resistance to test it as support. So if Bitcoin comes back to this level, I expect that Bitcoin is going to see it as supports, and then we can aim for higher targets. And that of course would also create Bitcoin to create a new new higher low, and that would be very bullish because we're now seeing this bullish uptrend happening for Bitcoin on the 1 hour time frame. And Bitcoin is pumping because Donald Trump says that he is hopefully saying that Russia and Ukraine will make a deal this week, and both will then start to do big business with the United States of America, which is thriving, and they will make a fortune. So if the war is going to stop this week, we will see the markets going to pump to new all-time highs, in my opinion, because a lot of uncertainty is going to end and a lot of money will flow into the markets again because people are going to be looking to the future, and it will be very beautiful to see the future even without war. So I think when the war stops, we will see Bitcoin back above the $100,000 in an instant. So this could all happen this week. And having a look at the 4 hour time frame for Bitcoin, we can see that this horizontal support and resistance was coming into play. We see a lot of interesting price action around this level, and yeah, this level was the level to break for Bitcoin, and we saw a lot of resistance here coming into the market, and finally we are now breaking to the top side. So this is looking very beautiful, and after this bullish uptrend, we saw this huge consolidation happening, and now we're seeing a beautiful break to the top side, which looks very promising. So I'm waiting for a retest of this resistance to test it as support, and from here you can safely enter the market on a higher low play, and then we can aim for higher targets. So the most important resistance on the 4 hour time frame has now been broken by Bitcoin. So this looks very promising. And yesterday we saw another very interesting company buying more Bitcoin, and that is the Japanese company MetaPlanet, and they bought another 330 Bitcoin worth for 28 million, and they now own more than 414 million in Bitcoin. So this is insanely bullish. And also we had Michael Saylors tweeting about this DCA portfolio, and he's saying that this portfolio has insufficient orange, which means he's hinting at the orange dots. So he hints at buying more Bitcoin with this kind of posts, just like he did in the past. So I think Michael Saylor is going to buy more Bitcoin in the coming days, and this of course could be pumping the market. So I think a lot of other companies are going to follow, just like MetaPlanet is doing, and I think more companies around the world are secretly buying Bitcoin already. And having a look at the far side Bitcoin ETF flow, we can see that the last few days were a little bit more bullish than bearish. Of course, on Friday we didn't see any inflows because the markets were closed on Friday because of the Easter weekend. But now we are open again today. So let's see if the bullish sentiment can return to the Bitcoin ETFs, and if we can see more bullish inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs as well as for the Ethereum ETFs. And zooming all the way out to the daily time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is finally breaking out of this huge formation, and this falling wedge formation was unfolding. We saw multiple touch points here on the top side as resistance, and on the lower side we saw 3 touch points as support. We are breaking out of this formation. We didn't retest this resistance as support yet, so we could also see another retest of this resistance area to test it as support. But for now, Bitcoin is pumping to the top side, and we could also see that this breakout target could be reached in the coming weeks. And this breakout target is around the previous all-time high, and that will bring Bitcoin back to the $108,000. So this is looking very bullish, but of course keep in mind that there is also a lot of interesting resistance that Bitcoin needs to break before we can even see more topside. So this would be my first big resistance area for Bitcoin on a daily time frame, and it will be around the $88,000. So keep in mind that we could also see a little bit of a rejection before we are going to gain this previous resistance area, but this is looking very good for Bitcoin in this week. And zooming out to the weekly time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is bouncing perfectly from this huge support area, which we saw starting in 2023. We are seeing multiple touch points here as support, and now we are touching this support once again, and we are bouncing to the top side. And we also see this horizontal level come in. This first was big resistance, and now we flipped it into support. So we broke it to the top side, we flipped this resistance into support, and now we're seeing a bounce. So this double support was eventually the one to look at, and this is exactly what we are waiting for. So Bitcoin is still in this huge uptrend on the weekly time frame, and we could now see a higher low play. So if Bitcoin is going to create this higher low, which it does already, of course, we could potentially see a new higher high, and that of course will bring Bitcoin to new all-time high. So on the weekly chart, we are looking insanely bullish. And the first altcoin I want to have a look at is Chainlink. We can see Chainlink is inside of this huge falling wedge formation. We can see multiple touch points here on the top side, and we can also see multiple touch points here on the lower side as support. And once again, we bounce from the support area, and now we are seeing this beautiful bounce. So let's see if we can come back to this previous resistance on the top side. But having a look at another daily time frame chart, we can see that Chainlink is actually trying to break bullish of this falling channel with multiple touch points here on the top side, and also on the lower side we can see multiple touch points as resistance. So if this daily candle is closing above this resistance area, we can confirm the break, but then we can potentially see a retest of the resistance to test it as support. Then we can aim for higher targets, and then my big first resistance will be around this level on the horizontal level, and that will be around the $21, and that could also be confluent with the breakout target of this formation. So this is looking actually very promising. And zooming out to the weekly time frame, we can see that Chainlink is still inside of this bearish trend actually. Of course, we came from these bear market lows, and now we are still in this little bit of an uptrend. So let's see if Chainlink can turn things around and eventually come back to this big resistance levels on the weekly time frame, and that of course could be very promising. But let's see what will happen. Are we going to break this falling channel to the top side? And if it does, my big first target will be the $21. So let me know in the comments, are you still bullish on Chainlink, and do you hold Chainlink in your portfolio? And the next interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is pepecoin. So we can see that Pepe is bouncing from a huge horizontal support. In the past we can see a lot of touch points here as support, and this was the last big support to look at. So once again we are now bouncing, we are creating this W pattern, which could also mean indicating that we're seeing a bottom forming for Pepe. But now this next big resistance is the resistance to break for Pepe. So let's see what will happen if we come to this next make or break level. Are we going to break it to the top side, or are we going to see a big rejection once again for Pepe, and that we're going to see a continuation of the bearish trend? But however, this horizontal support on the lower side is looking very strong. So I think we will see more topside for Pepe, because this W pattern is a typical bullish reversal pattern. And I think we will pump above this resistance, then come back to the next resistance, and so on and so on. And I think eventually pepecoin will also create a new all-time high. And yeah, zooming out on the weekly time frame, we can see this interesting resistance level come into play. So these are the levels for Pepe to break to the top side. And of course, we want to see a huge spike to the top side, just like we saw in the beginning of 2024, where we pumped for 332% in 1 month. And also we pumped for 75% in the beginning of May. So yeah, this looks very good. And also let me know in the comments, are you still bullish on Pepe? And do you think that Pepe could make a new all-time high in this year? So thanks again for watching. Please don't forget to slap up the like button and to follow me on my YouTube channel. And with that being said, I hope you have a great week and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.